What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Speak from the Heart, testimonial podcast series where athletes can open up about their athletic career and their faith behind it. And today I have former Division I pitcher from Siena University and current content creator that goes by the name 60eraguy, Joey Laurer. Welcome to the show, man. I'm really excited to have you on.
My name is Joey Laurer, also known as 60eraguy, and this is my story.
Can I throw 100?
101?
No way.
I really feel good about my chances today. The day I broke the world record for the fastest blitzball throw at 115 miles per hour, I got 104 miles per hour on a pull down, so I have a really good chance. Oh, that felt fuzzy. 110.1, beat the pitching.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I looked into your story and the videos you've made on it, and you had some really good stuff in there. Growing up as an undersized 9-hole hitter, what kept you believing that you'd eventually have a future in baseball?
I just always thought that I really loved the sport, like ever since I was little, just playing wiffle ball, you name it. Like that's like my favorite thing to do is just play the sport like all day, every day. I'd go over to the field with my friends and just like play lob ball, pick up baseball. Like it's just what I love to do. And I wasn't going to like stop doing it. And I was always trying to like get better at it. And slowly over time, I started to grow, got a little stronger, and everything started to materialize the way I was hoping.
Yeah. I was the same way in the sense of being tiny. Honestly, and I briefly mentioned that to you before we started, but that pushed me more to compete. It was I was okay with being small. And some may perceive it as kind of like a disadvantage, but honestly, it's how your mind kind of defines that for yourself. But yeah, I kind of took it on as a challenge. I had some role models that I looked up to. Honestly, loved Jose Altuve and some smaller professional guys. And didn't really let that stop me. And honestly, baseball's the sport for it. If you're going to be small, baseball's, they got some opportunities for you, even if you're not 6'6" or anything like that. So, when your velocity jumped and Division I baseball became real for you, did your identity start to become tied to performance or expectations?
100%. I think during that, like, I don't know, like, I guess between like 15 and 18, for a lot of kids, that's when like playing college sports becomes like a real reality. And for me, I would say 16, that's when it started to change because that's when my velo spiked quite a bit. So in that time frame, it's like it went from just being like a game you really enjoy to like now there's other pieces to this involved. So it's not just focused on like you play this sport. It becomes you are within that sport in my mind. And I think that's where a lot of kids get caught up in things. And I certainly got caught up in it myself. I sort of was like, oh, I'm the best. I'm going to college, like in my head. And I wasn't like super bad with that, like personally with other people, obviously. But in my head, I was like very confident, like I was going to go into college, be an absolute stud, be super good, like all the way through college, and then get drafted very high. Like that was, in most kids, I feel that's their mindset and like caught up in the rankings of like PBR and perfect game and oh, I'm ranked this number, this means I'm that much better than everybody else. Like it doesn't hold any kind of water. I preach that to a lot of kids younger than me that I'm like just mentoring or like helping coach now. Like none of that stuff matters. I know people that are ranked above me when I was in high school that aren't playing baseball anymore. And I know people that are ranked below me that are dominating in the minor leagues. Possibly, I think I might have been a couple people below me that even debuted. So
Yeah.
It doesn't hold any kind of water what you were doing at 15 to 18. It's all what happens after the fact. And it's good that good things happen at that time, but there's so much more than that.
Yeah. And I would have to agree. I mean, it's easy to kind of look at those rankings and honestly get very tunnel visioned and kind of like put everything into a box about, your sport and what you're doing. And it becomes such a, especially with social media, it can be used for good, but it can also certainly be used for yourself and like kind of just glorifying you. So I mean, you could easily look at those rankings and just kind of like, I'm the best. This is all that I'm good at, or and this is the future that I have. Like it's almost like a definite that I'm going to be great in this, and you get so pinpoint focused on that everything else kind of just, you know, you're so focused on being the best in your sport and making it all about you in a sense. And it's hard to do that. I mean, I think most talented athletes growing up, especially that are committed to SEC, Big Ten, ACC schools, even mid-major Division One, can easily make it that way. Because I for sure was. I mean, a big part of me and why I struggled so much is because baseball was such a huge identity piece for me that whenever I wasn't playing, once I got to Eastern Kentucky, it was like almost like shell shocked, world breaking news and like heartbreak. It was just like, who am I without baseball? So honestly, it's a circumstance that many people have to overcome, and it's interesting to kind of hear it. I mean, it's more common than you think, unfortunately, but how did COVID and the shortened MLB draft challenge your sense of control over the future?
I honestly, I was sort of like how I said with like the situation of 15 to 18, sort of thinking like I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread because I'm like progressing at such a great pace at that point. Like I didn't think like I'd get drafted in the top 5 rounds because there was 5 rounds at that point, and like obviously they're going to go with the people that are much more proven. But prior to that, I really felt that I was going to be capable of like at least having a chance, and I didn't think like I wanted to possibly pursue it. I was more so focused on like going to college, so it didn't really impact me in terms of professional baseball potential, but it did impact me with the way I went into college. And what I mean by that is sort of I thought like, all right, well, me and there was another kid on my team who we were both from the same area, very competitive with one another, and he also had the same sort of level of interest from professional scouts as I did at that point. And we're both heading into that school, and I was like of the mindset, and he was as well, where it's like we're going into a position where we're both going to dominate and be successful at this level. And from there, like with COVID and everything got kind of all messed up with our baseball schedule. So I get in there for the fall, we have practices, and it was like you you maybe get 4 hours on the field a week. Like we had to do a lot of individual stuff, and you had like these tiny scrimmages, but like it would be like maybe 4 people on the field at a time because the social distancing and all that stuff. That was nuts. And then it got to the fall ending, and the way they structured the semesters for that year was totally different than any other year. So we had a 3 month break from like after Thanksgiving all the way till early February. And then the
Wow.
baseball schedule was totally different. Those 3 months off was like very strange, like having to navigate it on your own. And then you come back into it and it's like, well, this is new. It's like a totally different atmosphere. And that's where, because I was like, I usually tend to be more of an overworker than an underworker in terms of my preparation and work towards baseball. Over those 3 months, like I'm just going at it every day, destroying my body, throwing so much.
Mm.
And I think that on top of like all my background of I used to be a swimmer and baseball player, it all compounded right into this moment where I end up getting thoracic outlet syndrome. And it started out okay. Like I wasn't struggling that bad at the beginning of the winter when I got back to college. But once I got into like, I'd say 4 weeks into like preseason, I'm just throwing terribly. I can't feel the ball in my hand. All this stuff that normally would not be a factor is now a factor. And I went from the first outing, which in my eyes wasn't that good of an outing because all winter I was throwing really, really well against hitters that were at least at or above the Division 1 level, like facing pros, everything. I was throwing really, really well. I get back to college. First one, it's like 7 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 4 innings of work. Then it like slowly got to a point where every week it was like, all right, then we're even on walks and strikeouts. Then it was walks were higher than strikeouts. And then it was like 7 walks, 3 strikeouts. And it just kept going the wrong direction. And catch play got worse and worse. Couldn't feel the ball in my hand. Had no point of release to like truly feel where the ball was in my hand. And it just spiraled. Had a horrible season. I got to pitch one outing because all my team scrimmages during the weeks, I just was nowhere near the zone. So he couldn't put me
Mhm.
out there. He couldn't trust me. And I didn't trust myself, which was something
Yeah.
I had never experienced at that point. So through that, I mean, it was just a real struggle. Everything was kind of going lopsided all at the same time. And what I recognized, to bring this back into sort of what the podcast is all about, is at this point, this was probably the furthest I ever was from, not that I wasn't firm in my faith, but I would say the furthest I was at that point from like the strength of my faith has ever been. So
Mhm.
it was pretty interesting to recognize that, take a step outside of myself and understand like I gotta get back to my roots here. Like,
Yeah.
not that I wasn't praying, not that I wasn't um focused on and believing in Christ, but I was just sort of in this state where it was like me, turning in on myself, like hyper fixated on it's my issues, my problem. I need to fix this instead of just letting it go. And
Yeah.
that was where I guess one big personal revelation was for myself.
Yeah. And I saw that, you had mentioned that you lost feeling in your hand and people told you that it was mental. How, and you briefly touched on this also, is how difficult was it for you to trust in yourself? And how did you approach what people call the yips?
Yeah. So basically, how that whole thing went down was nobody knew what was wrong with me. And I didn't, through that whole freshman year, I had no idea what thoracic outlet syndrome was. In that summer, I had taken the summer off and I went to a bunch of specialists and doctors to try and figure out what was going wrong. But throughout that entire semester, while we got games going, I'm trying to play catch. I look stupid. I can't even throw the ball really. There was one time I was playing catch and I literally hit my own foot. Like, it was that bad. I just
No.
5 feet away from somebody couldn't do it. And I think partially that was the yip part. So how that all came about was everyone around me is like, well, if you don't like, because I'm a bit stubborn too. So like, although I may not feel it in my hand, I'm like telling people I feel fine.
Mhm.
So these people are like, well, if you physically feel fine, then it must be mental. And I'm like, mental? I've never had any sort of mental issues with anything.
Yeah.
And through that point, like, I'm like, all right, well, if this is what people are telling me is wrong, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to try to understand it. I'm going to try to do everything I can to like get rid of it.
Yeah.
And by doing that and like immersing myself in what is it, and to that point, I'd never even heard of the yips. So it's like understanding what it is, it almost like created it for me,
Yeah.
which is not what you want. And yeah, that was a whole journey trying to figure that out. And it took me through basically my junior year to figure out the yips slash trying to get my arm in a state where it felt okay. And
Yeah.
then slowly over time got that fixed. I can throw just fine now. It's not like a yip issue. I do have some issues still with thoracic outlet, which is kind of why I am not currently pursuing professional, but I'm trying to track it down. I've still been every time I throw, even though I'm doing this entertaining stuff now, I still track my throwing and like try to recognize if I can count down any patterns to this thoracic outlet thing to
Yeah.
see if I have any chance of coming back. But if not, I do have fun just ripping and doing what I do right now. So
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. And I found a little loophole to like stay in baseball in a way. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And in dealing with that, what was the lowest point? Did you have a low point mentally, um, whenever you were kind of just trying to face it, overcome it, and you didn't really know what to do? And what helped you keep going?
My faith, 100% my faith. I think just understanding like there's a lot of people going through way worse things than me trying to figure out how to throw a ball. Like, simply put, I mean, I have a lot of family members who have had cancer and et cetera. And just understanding like there's so many bigger things than just throwing a ball and your career being throwing a ball, that gave me a lot of peace in knowing that. And I just sort of trusted like if this is meant to be, it will be meant to be. I've I mean, even with just the 60 ERA guy thing, I think
Mhm.
if I were to have been super successful in just pitching and playing professional baseball, and let's say I made it to the major leagues and I'm pitching in the big leagues right now, I still don't think I would have learned half as much as I have to this point.
Yeah.
And God's blessed me in so many different ways that I couldn't have imagined.
Yeah. And looking back, what did that infamous 60 ERA season teach you?
Your biggest failures can become your best blessings, no doubt
Mhm.
about it. I mean, I'm very grateful for the opportunities I currently have achieved through making this social media account, and it just seems like every year it keeps climbing and it's only gotten better. So
Yeah.
it's a true blessing, no doubt.
Yeah. And you've said in your video, talking about your story, God's plan is always different than yours. And so when did you start truly believing in that and not just saying it?
I would say once it's hard to pinpoint, but I would say like sort of when I took a look in the mirror and everything was going south with the one thing I always wanted to do, which was play in the big leagues.
Mhm.
At that around that time, once I made that decision, like, all right, this doesn't seem to be working. What can I do to stay in the thing that I love, which is baseball? That that was sort of the turning point, and I just never looked back. Like I don't have like a pinpoint like moment, but
Yeah.
in that time frame, that's really when it changed for me.
Yeah, and a great verse for this is Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And honestly, I feel like everybody's plan is different from what God really wants from them. And it may look different from ours in the end, but he establishes our path, he establishes our course, and it can be hard to trust that, especially when it feels like we're going maybe back a couple steps or going the complete opposite direction from where we want to go. It can really question, our faith. What is God really trying to tell me? Is He leading me the right way? Is this the right way? So, but yeah, that's really cool perspective. And honestly, I feel like that's something that can really take you out of the pit. Is just leaning on God and seeking Him through His grace, and knowing that you know this may feel like the end of the world for me, but giving that perspective of like I'm blessed. I can walk. I had the opportunity to throw a baseball every day. Like I'm blessed in more ways than um, what disadvantages I face. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's a cool perspective. Um, was there a moment when you realized that God was closing the door for possibly prevent, or not necessarily closing the door, but maybe opening a door to something different or something better?
I would say for some reason, and I guess this would be like a turning point, was after my sophomore year being horrible, trying to come back out of the yips and trying to navigate this whole thoracic outlet injury. Once I saw that sheet of paper at the end of the season, because the whole year I knew my stats were horrible, but I never looked at my stats. At the end of the year, we always had a meeting, and they always give you a sheet with like what you need to improve, everything like that. And at the top of it, it always had our stats.
Mhm.
And it literally was a 60.00. And I remember vividly just looking at that and being like, wow, that is so bad. Because I, because in high school, I had literally allowed only one earned run my whole high school career. So I knew I was capable of being good. Like
Yeah.
I just knew I was. But looking at that, and I'm like, that was like the wake up call. And I'm like, all right, well, if this is what happened, I gave it my all this whole year. yes, I was horrible, but I still like put every bit of effort I could into being successful that year. I got to find another route if I'm trying to stay in baseball.
Yeah.
And something about that, literally that same day, that's when I changed my username from just Joey Lauer to 60 ERA guy, and it's stuck. I'm just running with it, and I don't think I'm ever going to change it. The original vision was like, I wanted someday somebody to question why is his username 60 ERA guy
Hmm.
when I was pitching in the big leagues and was successful. But I
Yeah.
mean, so far that hasn't been the case. I'm not writing it completely off, but I mean, either way, I feel like it's an iconic username, no doubt.
Oh yeah. Yes, for sure. Because I mean, it takes humility, and also like also understanding that failure isn't necessarily like the ultimate definer of your worth and maybe your future. Like you said, like how awesome would it be if you're, starting on opening day and your name is, we got Joey Lauer, 60 ERA guy starting opening day. Like that's just it's cool. And then people are like, why is his name that? That's like why is he
Right,
like trying to bash himself or whatever? But like you go into your story and you're like, oh wow, what a story this guy has. So that's
right.
that's cool. That's awesome. That's a great way to get people to honestly market yourself and give yourself an opportunity to be seen by somebody. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. So creating that name, it took humility. How did you embrace that identity, and how did it help you free yourself instead of kind of like limit you?
It just removed all expectations for me. Like I just didn't ever feel any pressure again about like if your username is literally 60 ERA guy, and I like say I'm posting videos, and
Mhm.
I'm at that point, like when I first started, like obviously I didn't know anything about content like I do now, but I just through that whole process, it was like, all right, well, I'm gonna be posting videos about me trying to come back from this. And it was like usually just like my throwing journal. So like if I threw that day and I took some footage, I'd put it out there, I'd write down whatever I needed to remind myself of. And it was supposed to be like a virtual journal for me to go back and like understand, all right, what was I thinking at this point? What was I thinking at that point? And how can I improve?
Yeah.
And through that process, I just sort of like was like, well, I know people are gonna roast me in the comments if my name's just Joey Lauer about my
Mhm.
horrible college stats. So why not just embrace it, deal with it, and then they write those comments anyway. I'm like, jokes on you. I literally say my username is 60 ERA guy. So how are you proving a point? And then they
Mhm.
just look dumb. So
Yeah.
that was sort of I guess that was another piece of that in my head at first.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's worked. It's an awesome username, even though despite it may not have a great memory, but now honestly it's a great it's a great name, and
Yeah.
it's honestly helped, and I think it's cool that you're kind of embracing that. So um, and if I had, something similar to that, I think that I would do the same thing. Be like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, you think I suck? Well, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna keep going, and I don't really have to prove anything to you. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
It
cool.
almost represents like a turning point, kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah. You've also started an Instagram called 60 ERA Faith, where you post
Yes.
verse of the day um, and all that. So, what made you decide to do that, and how important has that been for you?
I look at it in as selfishly as this may sound, I look at it as an opportunity for myself in a way where it is an opportunity to like daily keep myself grounded and
Yeah.
rooted in that. So every day when I wake up, that's the first thing I do is like just free ball a verse, put it out
Mhm.
there, and then put it on that. And that's like one, holding myself accountable, and two, it's reaching the masses of like people can watch they can see that on my thing every day and remember or read a verse and just sort of understand like, all right, this is what I can read today. And like at least it's
Yeah.
kind of putting that awareness out there on a daily as opposed to somebody having to look at my Instagram profile and see that it says follower of Jesus. It's like
Yeah.
another way of me putting it out there, and not that I'm doing it to like sort of be like, oh, I'm more religious than you, but more of like a it's keeping me accountable on a daily to like recognize that I would be nothing without him.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that because the verse of the day videos I've been doing, I've actually been learning a whole lot more about the gospel. Originally my plan was to help other people and just kind of spread the word and spread the gospel, but honestly I've learned so much, and it's been just as helpful to someone that may be watching it as it has been for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's cool that you mentioned that, because I'm really learning a lot, and there's some stories in the Bible that I heard when I was younger that I'm telling again, and now I'm kind of understanding it from a adult perspective rather than whenever I heard it whenever I was like 10, 11, or 12 years old.
Yeah, you can always learn more with the Bible. I mean,
Oh yeah,
I read it every single day. I don't read that much, but I read every day at least one verse.
yeah,
Sometimes I'll feel good and read a little more, but usually I always hold myself to at least one verse a day.
yeah,
And I've just been slowly I got a custom Bible in 2023 for Christmas. I've been slowly chipping away like every day, little bit by little bit. I'm on pace, literally, and how ironic this is, on Christmas, I'll be starting the New Testament. So
yeah.
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's cool. How did content creation help you fall back in love with competition and maybe some of your athletic goals in a new way?
It just sort of shaped my mindset and sort of took me away from focusing on the game itself all day, every day. It gave me like an outlet. It's almost I look at it as like some people would do painting or something like that. This is like my form of creativity.
Yeah,
And that was really helpful for me in my first couple of years trying to get out of this issue. So like junior, senior year of college, those 2 years, like instead of going into the batting cages and doing more physical work to try and get better for baseball, this would just remove that. Not that I wasn't still doing everything I needed to do, but I wasn't going overboard. And then I also was not immersing myself into full focus of thinking about baseball 24/7. It was more once I'm off the field, then I have something else to focus on. And how do I succeed in that? And I
yeah,
think that duality sort of made baseball a little bit better. Obviously, none of my college years I was that good, but it did help me get a little bit better, feel more confident, and just understand like there is something I'm growing here beyond just me playing this sport. And
yeah,
this could be something that when I graduate, it could be something that I can continue.
yeah. So I guess a good follow up question for that is, what does success mean to you now compared to when you were, I guess your dream was professional baseball, before you were a 60 ERA guy?
I think it definitely has changed. Success for me, but back in that headspace before I had the 60 ERA and everything like that was if you don't play in the MLB, you're a failure. No doubt about that. Like that was, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad mindset because like it keeps you motivated on the daily and you're focused, but it is a bit of a destructive mindset in that that's not a fulfilling sort of achievement. Like I experience this all the time is like even with like simple stuff like content. Like at first I remember my main goal was I wanted to get 100,000 views on a short video. At this point, now where I stand, it's like a failure if I don't get 100,000 views on a
Mm.
short video. So it's like that's never gonna like those earthly measurables of success are just never gonna like fulfill anything.
Yes.
And like I think realizing that was a huge piece, and I needed to have that stripped away in a sense. Not that it's fully stripped, because if I can get healthy, I think I have a chance at least of playing professional. But
Yeah.
um, just stripping that idea away has made it be like more about anything can be a success. Like
Mm.
it's literally however you define it. And obviously, I don't think destructive things should be defined as success, but being able to spend more time with family, focusing on um I can do X, Y, and Z and still be grounded in what actually matters, which is the God shaped the God shaped hole in your heart being filled. And
Yeah.
I think if anything strays you away from that, that would be something that's a destructive that isn't contributing to your success. So as long
Yeah.
as you're grounded in that, I think you're successful, and whatever earthly accolades come with that, they come with it.
Yeah. And nothing in this world, nothing worldly can truly fill you, is what I've kind of learned as I've gotten older. Even in Matthew 6, there's a verse, Matthew 6:33, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Um, and that part is just kind of like that, like you said, the God shaped hole in your heart. Like, how are you going to feel it? Because you're not gonna do that by doing the wrong things, searching for the things in this world that can gratify us. Uh,
Exactly.
that's when you start going down the wrong path and really sabotaging possibly your potential, your future, and honestly your relationship with God. But 99 going after the one, like he's always going to come find you. He's always going to look for you, even if you do stray away. And he'll wait for you patiently when you're going down a road that he doesn't think that you should be on. So
Absolutely.
it's a cool perspective to think about too. So you've hit some insane milestones upon this content creation journey. You've hit 100 off the mound, and you've thrown a blitz ball 125 miles an hour, which is nuts.
Down without a fight. Last one, no matter what, we're getting 125 right here. I'm too close to not get it. This could be my athletic peak right here. I don't know if I'll ever beat it. Let's go. Did I get it?
125.8.
Let's go! 125.8. Guinness, let's make it official.
So which accomplishment kind of means the most to you, and why?
I don't know. They're all pretty cool. I don't really have like one specific one. I'm kind of just using myself as like a human experiment to sort of
Yeah.
see like God's given me some like incredible gifts, and I'm just trying to see how far they can go.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm very proud of hitting 100. I think that one, like, although it's maybe like, oh well, a bunch of people in MLB hit 100. That's not that impressive. And like, if I was pitching in professional baseball, there's no way I'm sitting 100. Like, I'm way too small to like be consistently at those numbers. But to say that a guy that's 5'9" inches tall, 185 pounds, like it's pretty cool to say I've been able to throw it 100.
Yeah.
In 26, I'm gonna try for 102, see if I got it in there. But if I don't, either way, 100 is sick.
Yeah.
Blitzball, I really love that one too because I've been throwing blitzballs like that since I was little. I
Mm-hmm.
have it like literally chronologically dated through like 20. We're almost going on 10 years since 2017. I've been getting video of me doing this, and I did it way before that. I actually took video too, so it's literally been like 10 years where I'm just ripping blitzball velo.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like it. People don't really care, and it's 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 just fun. Like
Yeah.
it's really fun to see a big number like that pop up. I mean,
Oh yeah.
when I was little, like the first time I ever got it on film, it was 87, and I threw like 75 off the mound. So it was like, oh, this is like so much faster. Like this is
Yeah.
insane. And now I remember vividly the first time I got 100 with a blitz ball. I was throwing like 83 on the mound or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is my peak. I just peaked. And now now it's 25 miles an hour above that. But
Yeah, that's nuts.
yeah, kind of nuts.
But I mean, you've even said, you're like you're experimenting with yourself. Like you are built to throw.
Correct.
How far were you with the last video I saw with you throwing was with a football trying to beat Patrick Mahomes' hardest throw. What's that been for you? Have you gotten close to that?
I beat
And a
it.
dodgeball. I've also seen a dodgeball. You throwing a dodgeball as hard as you can.
Dodgeball I destroyed. Football I beat Mahomes, but there's people out there that have thrown harder than Mahomes, so that's
Yeah.
the disclaimer there. At first, that's what I thought was the world record, but there's been people that have gotten like 70. So
Yeah.
I'm not really pushing that one. I'm not good at throwing footballs. I don't even know
Yeah.
how to throw a spiral still. So
Yeah.
I'm retired from that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Cricket too. I've
Oh
got
yeah.
the
Yeah.
entire I got the entire country of India mad at me about cricket, so that's pretty crazy.
What were they upset about? Were they upset about how you were throwing it? Like you're like because you're obviously you were doing a pull down, but you know
Yeah.
going down at the pins. What
To be
exactly
fair,
were?
I was pretty disrespectful to the whole sport, but it's like I don't know anything about cricket at all, and refuse to look it up. So like,
Yeah.
I my one of my relatives told me because he has watched cricket before. He told me that when I threw it and I hit the posts, which I thought were posts, he
Hmm.
said those are wickets. And when I threw it and I hit it, I said smoked the posts. So I guess that triggered like all of India. And then I'm just throwing it like a baseball. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm doing like the proper cricket form, and it's just
Yeah.
got them so mad, but it's so funny. Like I
Hey,
don't care at all. It's just hilarious.
at least the effort was there. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, you were doing what you thought. I mean, it's okay. Like it's okay. Ignorance is. I mean, I'm sure
Ignorance
you
is
were
bliss.
exactly. You weren't meaning to disrespect anybody. You were just saying, how hard can I throw this? Like I'm just gonna
Exactly.
let it eat. So I mean, yeah, it's whatever. But you're also a world record holder, and it's on. Is it on your wall right there behind you?
That's an unofficial plaque for now, but yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and it's
I filmed a YouTube video, and it just came out actually like last week. And basically it was me trying to test out how impressive every world record is.
okay.
And I'm not going to disclose which one I thought was most impressive. They'll have to go watch that to find out. But I had to make my own version of a world record plaque because Guinness, I applied for the blitzball record.
Hmm.
It's never been a record before, so you have to like apply for it as like being a new record. They denied it, and I had this whole video planned around me getting the actual plaque. So I had to make my own plaque so it looked good in the beginning of the video, and I kind of used that whole video as a campaign to be like, hey, let's make this official. Like 125 is kind of nuts, but we'll
Yeah.
see if it actually happens. At this point, there's nothing, no new updates.
Yeah. I mean, that's 125 is unreal. I mean,
Yeah.
you're just slinging that thing. Um, but yeah, that's also super cool. Uh, so my last question, wrapping up, if you could go back in time and speak to the version of yourself who was dealing with thoracic outlet syndrome and couldn't feel a baseball in his hand, thought it was not really knowing what to do, what would you tell him today?
Deal with it. That's all I'd say because
Yeah,
it seems like everything that's worked out to this point has been better than I could have pictured it, and I'm just super grateful. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be like, oh, you have to do this, this, and this to not deal with this. Just deal with it. That's
yeah.
it.
And I mean, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and lift you up. Like I feel like it's also looking back and being strong in that faith, but also just deal with it. Like I think I would tell myself this, like something similar heading into college. Like you're gonna have to overcome it. Honestly, I got stronger from the experience of dealing with all that anxiety, facing my fears, facing things that I was unsure of, and that discomfort of being benched, not knowing if I'll have the opportunity, keeping hope whenever there was none, all that stuff. It makes you a stronger person, and it also strengthens your relationship with God. And um, honestly, like seeing how far. I mean, I look at the story of Job. You know, his everything was taken away from him, but he still believed. He never he was upset and he would question God, but he never turned his back from him. He never pushed him away and, I don't believe in you anymore. Or, uh, he would ask, why, I don't know why this is happening to me, but he was still faithful. So I feel like that's a huge story that a lot of athletes that have experienced injury or setback or unexpected adversity, whenever, I mean, I'm sure once you were starting to throw really hard that, you were looking like a Friday night starter, a dude that can stay like 93, 95 and just be a dominant arm. But it's okay because I mean, look at what you're doing now. I think you're impacting more people. Like you said, I think you would have learned a lot more um, doing what you're doing now than if plans would have worked out the way that you wanted them to. So,
Exactly.
but yeah,
100%.
Yeah, but that's all I got, man. If you got anything else to say to anyone else watching, you got the floor.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. This is definitely my favorite interview I've done. So
Sweet.
that's some high praise.
Awesome. I really appreciate it. All right. Thank you all for watching. This is Speak from the Heart, and come back next Sunday for the next episode.